The grand halls of the Vatican were quieter than usual, the air heavy with anticipation. Marble floors gleamed under the soft glow of chandeliers, and the faint echoes of footsteps reverberated through the vast corridors. Whispers had spread like wildfire across the city-state, carrying an unusual rumor. Pope Francis was preparing to address the world with a message about Jesus that could change the course of modern faith. Cardinals moved briskly through the corridors, their faces painted with both curiosity and unease. The world outside, however, buzzed with speculation, as media outlets camped in St. Peter's Square, ready to broadcast whatever revelation was to come. In a modest apartment just a mile away, Maria Fontana, a seasoned journalist for a leading international news agency, sat hunched over her laptop, her brow furrowed in concentration, illuminated by the soft light of her desk lamp. Stacks of notes and highlighted theological texts surrounded her, a testament to her relentless preparation. The faint hum of her favorite coffee maker filled the room, and the aroma of freshly brewed espresso mingled with the tension in the air. Maria had covered numerous Vatican events over her career, but this one felt different. The cryptic announcements and heightened secrecy surrounding the event were unlike anything she had seen before. She couldn't shake the feeling that this would be a defining moment not only for her career, but for the world. Her phone buzzed on the table. It was Luca, her trusted cameraman and confidant. "Maria," he began, his voice laced with excitement. "Did you hear? They're saying the Pope's message might involve a reinterpretation of certain teachings. This could be groundbreaking." Maria's fingers paused mid-typing. She leaned back in her chair, the weight of the statement sinking in. "If that's true, Luca, this could ripple across billions of believers. Be ready. We need to be at the forefront of this story." As the hours ticked by, the square filled with pilgrims, journalists, and skeptics. The faint hum of prayers blended with murmured conversations, creating a palpable tension in the air. Among the crowd was Father Gabriel, a humble priest from a small parish in Spain. Unlike many who had come seeking clarity or spectacle, Gabriel carried a deep personal anguish. A letter he had written weeks earlier, challenging certain dogmatic interpretations, had received no response. Yet rumors of this announcement gave him hope. Could the Pope's words address his concerns? Could they offer solace to his conflicted heart? Meanwhile, in the dimly lit confines of the Apostolic Palace, Pope Francis sat alone, poring over a worn leather-bound Bible. His hands trembled slightly as he traced the pages, pausing at passages that had guided him through decades of faith and service. His mind grappled with the weight of the decision he was about to make. A lifetime of devotion had led him to this moment, yet he knew that his words would stir controversy, ignite debates, and perhaps even sow division. His thoughts wandered to the faces of the faithful, the doubters, and the leaders who would dissect his every word. Could they understand the depth of what he had come to realize? A knock at the door broke his concentration. It was Cardinal Rinaldi, a trusted advisor and longtime friend. "Your Holiness," he began gently, "are you certain about this? The world is watching, and the consequences could be profound." The Pope looked up, his eyes reflecting a mix of resolve and sorrow. "The truth, Rinaldi, is never easy to bear. But I believe it is time. The message I have carried in my heart must be shared, for it is not mine to keep." As the bells of St. Peter's Basilica began to toll, signaling the start of the address, the crowd grew silent. Pope Francis emerged onto the balcony, his white cassock luminous under the evening sky. Cameras zoomed in, capturing every wrinkle, every expression. He raised a hand, and the murmurs ceased entirely. The air seemed to hold its breath. "Brothers and sisters," he began, his voice steady yet deeply resonant. "Today, I come before you not as a leader, but as a servant of the truth. Over centuries, we have interpreted and reinterpreted the teachings of Christ. Yet, in my years of prayer and contemplation, I have come to understand a profound aspect of Jesus' message that we may have overlooked." The crowd leaned in, as if the weight of his words required physical closeness. Maria's fingers danced across her keyboard, documenting every phrase, while Luca captured the scene with unwavering focus. Father Gabriel clasped his hands together, a silent prayer on his lips. Around him, some clutched rosaries, while others simply stared, their expressions ranging from awe to apprehension. The Pope continued, Jesus' teachings were radical in their simplicity, yet their essence has often been obscured by human institutions, including our own. He called us to love unconditionally, to serve humbly, and to seek justice for the oppressed. But more than that, he emphasized the divinity within each of us, a divine spark that connects us all to God. Gasps rippled through the crowd. This wasn't just a reaffirmation of well-trodden doctrine. It was something deeper, something challenging. Maria felt a shiver run down her spine. This was the kind of moment journalists dream of capturing. Raw, transformative, and unforgettable. For too long, Pope Francis continued, we have placed Jesus on a pedestal so high that we forget he walked among us as a man. He experienced our joys, our sorrows, our struggles. And in doing so, he showed us that divinity is not distant. It is here, within us, calling us to live as he lived, with courage, compassion, and unwavering faith in the goodness of humanity. As his words echoed across the square, reactions varied. Some in the crowd wept openly, moved by the Pope's heartfelt message. Others exchanged skeptical glances, their minds grappling with the theological implications. Within the Vatican, cardinals whispered amongst themselves, their faces betraying shock and, in some cases, disapproval. The address continued, delving into the practical implications of this revelation. The Pope called for a re-examination of the Church's stance on various social issues, urging a return to the core values of love, acceptance, and humility. He spoke of embracing diversity, championing the marginalized, and prioritizing actions over rituals. He shared personal anecdotes, moments where he had witnessed the transformative power of these principles in his ministry. By the time Pope Francis concluded, the crowd erupted into a mixture of applause and murmurs. The atmosphere was electric, charged with a sense of history in the making. Maria, still typing furiously, paused to look up at Luca. This isn't just a story, Luca. This is a movement. But as the night wore on, the ripple effects of the Pope's words began to emerge. Social media platforms lit up with debates, news anchors dissected every sentence, and theological experts were called upon to weigh in. Some hailed the Pope as a revolutionary, while others accused him of diluting sacred traditions. Father Gabriel, now back in his modest hotel room, knelt by his bed. Tears streamed down his face, but they were tears of relief. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of peace. The Pope's message had answered questions he hadn't even known how to articulate. In the days that followed, the world witnessed a shift. Churches saw an influx of people seeking to reconnect with their faith. In the days that followed, the world witnessed a shift. Churches saw an influx of people seeking to reconnect with their faith, drawn by the Pope's message of inclusivity and hope. At the same time, protests erupted in certain quarters, with critics arguing that such interpretations threatened the very foundation of Christianity. Through it all, Pope Francis remained steadfast. In private moments with Cardinal Rinaldi, he acknowledged the storm he had unleashed but expressed no regrets. The truth, he often said, is not meant to comfort us. It is meant to guide us. And as Maria's article, titled The Pope's Call to Rediscover Jesus, went viral, she couldn't help but feel a profound sense of purpose. This wasn't just about breaking news. It was about breaking barriers and challenging perceptions. In the end, the Pope's revelation did what he had hoped it would. It stirred hearts, provoked minds, and ignited conversations. Whether history would judge him as a heretic or a hero, he knew one thing for certain. He had fulfilled his calling, sharing a message that had burned within him for decades. And in doing so, he had brought the world closer to understanding the true essence of Jesus' teachings, a message of love, unity, and the divine potential within us all. The ripples of this moment would last for generations. The faithful debated, theologians argued, and society at large grappled with what this meant for the future. But one truth remained. Pope Francis had dared to speak from the heart, shining a light on the profound simplicity and depth of Jesus' teachings. And in doing so, he had reminded the world of the divine thread that binds us all together. Through it all, Pope Francis remained steadfast. In private moments with Cardinal Rinaldi, he acknowledged the storm he had unleashed but expressed no regrets. The truth, he often said, is not meant to comfort us. It is meant to guide us. And as Maria's article, titled "The Pope's Call to Rediscover Jesus," went viral, she couldn't help but feel a profound sense of purpose. This wasn't just about breaking news. It was about breaking barriers and challenging perceptions. In the end, the Pope's revelation did what he had hoped it would. It stirred hearts, provoked minds, and ignited conversations. Whether history would judge him as a heretic or a hero, he knew one thing for certain. He had fulfilled his calling, sharing a message that had burned within him for decades. And in doing so, he had brought the world closer to understanding the true essence of Jesus' teachings, a message of love, unity, and the divine potential within us all. The ripples of this moment would last for generations. The faithful debated, theologians argued, and society at large grappled with what this meant for the future. But one truth remained. Pope Francis had dared to speak from the heart, shining a light on the profound simplicity and depth of Jesus' teachings. And in doing so, he had reminded the world of the divine thread that binds us all together. But the story didn't end there. In the weeks that followed, unexpected events began to unfold. Small communities around the world started organizing gatherings inspired by the Pope's message, fostering dialogues that transcended religious boundaries. In a remote village in India, a group of Hindu and Christian leaders united to discuss shared values and mutual respect. In the United States, interfaith coalitions sprang up to address pressing social issues like poverty and racial injustice. The Pope's words had ignited a movement that extended far beyond the confines of the Catholic Church. Maria found herself traveling extensively, documenting these grassroots efforts. Her articles and videos captured stories of transformation, from a young Muslim woman in Indonesia who found common ground with her Christian neighbors, to an elderly Jewish rabbi in New York who opened his synagogue to a homeless shelter inspired by the Pope's call to action. Each story added a new layer to the global narrative, showcasing the power of faith to unite rather than divide. Meanwhile, opposition to the Pope's message grew louder in certain quarters. Traditionalist factions within the Church convened secret meetings to discuss strategies for countering what they viewed as a dangerous departure from orthodoxy. Some influential figures openly criticized the Pope, accusing him of heresy and undermining centuries of doctrine. Social media became a battleground, with hashtags both supporting and condemning the Pope trending worldwide. Cardinal Rinaldi, though a loyal ally of Pope Francis, found himself in the midst of these tensions. He attended countless meetings, striving to mediate between the opposing factions within the Vatican. "Your Holiness," he confided during one such meeting with the Pope, "the resistance is growing. They fear change, but they also fear losing control." Pope Francis smiled faintly, his eyes betraying a weariness born of decades of service. "Change always frightens those who cling to power, Rinaldi. But remember, we are not called to preserve power. We are called to serve. Let them debate. Let them challenge me. The truth will endure." In the months that followed, the Pope's message continued to ripple through society, prompting both unity and division. Scholars and theologians published countless essays dissecting his words, while artists and musicians found inspiration in his call to embrace the divine within. The world seemed to be at a crossroads, grappling with profound questions about faith, humanity, and the future of religion. As Maria reflected on the events of the past year, she couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude. The Pope's revelation had not only reshaped her career, but also her perspective on life. She had witnessed firsthand the power of words to inspire change, to heal wounds, and to bridge divides. And in the process, she had rediscovered her own faith, not in a particular institution, but in the resilience and goodness of humanity. One evening, as she sat at her desk, drafting what would become her most widely read article yet, she received a call from Father Gabriel. "Maria," he began, his voice filled with quiet determination, "I've decided to write a book. The Pope's message has given me the courage to share my journey, my doubts, and my faith. I believe it's time for all of us to add our voices to this movement." Maria smiled, her heart swelling with hope. "Gabriel, your story will touch more lives than you can imagine. This is just the beginning." And so, as the world continued to debate, to transform, and to struggle with the complexities of faith, a new chapter was being written, one filled with courage, compassion, and the enduring belief that even the smallest voices could echo across eternity.